Hey, what's going on, everybody? Justin Kramer here from the Former Action Guys podcast, doing my first live stream in a long time. Figured I'd try this out. Hopefully, a few people will jump on here. Maybe we can get some comments going, kind of see what's going on. What I'm looking to do is I have a video of an A-10 doing an airstrike in Afghanistan, working with a JTAC and stuff like that. Pretty popular video back in the day. It comes up every once in a while and stuff like that, and it's also used in audio for multiple things, people's podcast intros and stuff like that. But I thought it'd be cool to watch the video for those that don't have a JTAC or fire support background. Maybe try to break down some of the information that's in the video. And then, for the people that are watching the live stream, if you want to ask some questions along the way, feel free to do so. The video is actually, it's pretty badass. Like, we used to use it at the 2nd Marine Division Artillery Training School when we would teach JTAC primer courses for the guys that are going to the actual schoolhouse up in Virginia. It was just a good example of the flow between the aircraft and the JTAC on the ground. So hopefully you guys will enjoy that. And let's kick it off. Let's start watching this video. All right, so just to start off there, you saw that it had the unclassified banner. So this has obviously been unclassified, sent out for official use only kind of deal. So let's move on from there. What we don't know is what happened before this. So they're already in the midst of running an attack. Prior to this, though, the JTAC is going to, one, put up the air request. Two, he's going to receive the aircraft into his airspace, and then he's going to have to route them. It's called routing safety of flight, where he's going to place them in the airspace wherever he needs them, whatever altitude and stuff like that, and then they can start running in the attacks from the appropriate direction. So let's listen in to some of the comms here.
Roger, stand by, we're popping smoke. Look for the smoke. It's going to be a red smoke. It's going to be a red smoke. Okay, got the red smoke. Roger. Gun runs north or south.
Okay, just to stop here real quick. So he's telling him, hey, I'm marking the target with a red smoke. This is, he's starting to give him some direction. But before we go into that, this view that we see here is from the sensor, the lightning pod or whatever pod that they're using on the bottom of the aircraft. And it gives you some information. It gives you the height of the target. You see that it's 5872. Where you see the crosshairs there, and it says 41M. That's 41 meters. That means that stick on the crosshairs is 41 meters wide. As the aircraft gets closer, farther away, or they zoom in and out, you'll see that number change. And what it does is it helps the pilot. It helps them measure length on the ground. So when we're doing like a talk on, if I'm like, hey, do you see the square building with the red roof? Contact. Hey, it's east 200 meters. Well, if they can measure with that, it makes it a little bit easier to get onto the target a little bit quicker. At the bottom right corner, you see that 1688. That's a laser designator codes. They're doing gun runs here, so they won't be using that, but that's just what that is. So let's get back to it.
West of the smoke. West of the smoke.
Okay, copy. West of the smoke. I'm looking at danger close now.
Roger, keep your fires west of the smoke. Commander's initials, Bravo Golf. Keep the fucking fire west of the smoke. We have 3 smokes popped.
Okay, so he's calling danger close there. What's going on with the 30 millimeter gun on an A-10? Danger close is 65 meters. So he's expecting them to put the rounds down within 65 meters of friendly forces. Once you're inside of that number, the JTAC on the ground is not the commander, not normally. There's usually a commanding officer there. They have to give their initials for approval, saying that the aircraft is allowed to strike within the danger close numbers. And if something happens, it's not their fault. That everyone's aware of how close they're striking. So that's the kind of information he's giving. The JTAC is doing a real good job. Hey, we got smoke out here. We got 3 smokes. Keep your fires west of the smoke. This is not traditional in any way. This is not how you would do it right out of the schoolhouse. It's not how we would teach people to do it. But what happens is, in country, some things are going to flex based off of what's happening on the ground, and your own experience is going to tell you what to do and what not to do. You're not going to run through a full game plan 9-line in the normal format every time in certain situations. So this is one of those situations where they flex with what you're actually supposed to do, but they make it work by having really good communication between the pilot and the JTAC. So let's keep going.
Okay, copy that. That's west of the smoke and west of the road.
Roger, I see you. Come on with it, baby. Give it to me. I need it. You're cleared hot.
Copy, cleared hot. Got visual of the smoke. Here's visual and copy to the west. Long range straight.
You got me, right?
Gotcha.
Okay, make sure you got it. Go ahead, give it to me, over. Hill, I need you. Come on, Hill.
He's in hot from the north.
Hill, same spot. Look for me. Keep him west.
Okay, so the JTAC continues to, hey, make sure wires are, or the fires are west of the smoke, west of the smoke. He keeps pushing that out there. Good communication. He gives a clearance a little early. Normally, you're going to wait for the aircraft to call in, which means he's like, I'm pointing at the target. Here's my heading. I'm heading to the north, getting ready to strike. He'll give you that heading and tell you that he's in so that you're aware, and then you called cleared hot. Again, this is a dynamic situation. You can hear the shooting in the background. You can tell that they're egressing from a pretty bad situation. They're doing danger close strikes. So, flex with it. It's working right now, and now we got 2 coming in to follow up with -1's hits.
Alright, dude. Make it low angle strafe. I want it closer.
So that comm right there was between the 2 pilots. Normally, on the Air Force side of the house, when the JTAC is talking to the pilots, he's only going to talk to whoever's the lead pilot. And the lead pilot's going to relay information back to his -2. And that's just how they do it. Marines will talk to both pilots. Sometimes situation dictates. But in this case, you'll hear the aircraft give that information to his number 2, and he responds by saying 2. And I'll back it up a little bit so you can hear that again.
Look for me. Keep him west.
Alright, dude. Make it low angle strafe. I want it closer.
You hear that too? Look at the crosshairs. It's at 24 meters now.
The west bank. Just west. I need it on the west bank.
I understand the west bank of the river.
That's A-firm. West bank. It gives me Hill. Hill, give it to me in the grove.
Okay, 1's in from the north. I've got the west bank of the river. 2's going to give it to you in the grove.
Say perfect right there. Perfect communication back and forth. Lead, I want you in the west bank. 2, I want you in the grove. He's giving them direction, maintaining like, hey, keep it to the west. Ensuring that everyone knows where friendlies are, which direction they're egressing, and stuff like that.
Roger, give me that gun run.
And the pilot does a good job of confirming.
In hot.
Clear hot.
Altitude.
Hill, give me them in the grove. In the grove.
She's in 15 seconds.
Cleared hot. Hill in the grove. Over.
Step plan.
Hill, I have you visual. You are cleared hot. Hill in the grove. Over.
So he just said, hey, 2, I got you visual. You're cleared hot in the grove. What he's saying is, I see you. Visual is a friendly call. If we're talking about friendly forces, we say visual. If we're talking about enemy forces or a mark on the ground, we're saying contact. So he say, I'm visual. You're cleared hot. So he's basically looked. He's assessed his nose geometry. He's assessed the aircraft itself. He's in a safe position to strike. You're cleared hot.
One. Same thing. In the grove. South. Work south.
Copy, work south. Give me some more smoke.
We're moving. We're moving.
Which way?
We're moving east. We're moving east. Give me the fire. South in the grove. South in the grove.
Okay, understand south?
1, you're cleared hot in the grove.
South or west?
South.
Altitude.
So there was some confusion back and forth right there. It was good on the pilot. I'm not sure why he introduced west there. They were talking west earlier, but it never came up in that part of the conversation. But it was good on him to confirm, like, hey, tell me which one you're talking about. Because the reality is these are 30-millimeter rounds hitting the ground. They're going to do some major damage, and you want them to hit where you want them to hit.
Pull up.
2. West bank. 2.
They continue to confirm.
He's in from the north. Clear hot. Okay, now I want you to go over to trump cards and start launching the grips.
East of those rounds.
Okay, so right there, he's talking. Lead is talking to his -2 again. You can hear him trying to hurry up and give some information while the JTAC is still talking. So imagine the confusion, right? If you're a pilot, you're flying, if you're the lead guy, either one, you got your -2 in your ear, you got the JTAC that you could be talking to, you have higher air elements that you could be talking to that are directing you, the people that even sent them there in the first place. And then if there are other air assets, in the area, those could also be on the net. It can get really confusing really fast, and these guys are doing a really good job of being clear, concise, and then reconfirming, what they're wanting each other to do, or like, hey, throw a mark, or hey, it's to the west, and okay, I'm going in on the west. It's a real good job so far.
Just east of those rounds, west south.
Acknowledge. Understand east of number 2's rounds.
That's A-firm, just east, but walk south, clear hot.
Copy.
Again, he gave clearance a little early there. You wouldn't normally do that. You'd give him, hey, here's where I want you to attack. The aircraft is going to come in. He's going to call in, and then you give that clearance. I'm not armchair quarterbacking this. I think everybody's doing a great job in this situation. Obviously, it's a hectic situation, but that's normally something like if we were in training and that happened, we would stop the guy immediately and be like, hey, you can't do that. But obviously, this is real life. This is not training at this point.
One's in from the north.
See, right there when he said one's in from the north, that's when the JTAC should have given clearance.
Confirm you're still moving east.
Roger, that's A-firm, still moving east, clear hot.
Notice, if you notice, I'll back that up just a little bit. I'm going to back it up so you can see that again. The pilot is in his turn. You can see, so when it switches from the pod cam to this other cam, this is basically their like gun cam, their heads up display. That's what they're seeing. And when he switches to that, you can see him in the turn, and he says, confirm you're still moving east, and it settles, and he's lined up ready to just pull the trigger. He's just waiting on that confirmation. As soon as he says, yeah, we're still moving east, you could see the smoke and stuff from the gun go off. So let me back that up and make sure we get that.
Moving east.
See, turns.
Roger, that's A-firm, still moving east, clear hot.
Boom. Yeah, immediate.
Altitude.
Back up, no contact. Where do you want me next?
Okay, 2, ridge line to my southeast. Ridge line to my southeast. Give me gun runs, over.
2 copies of ridge line to the southeast.
Mark my tracer and smoke.
Watch, got friendly vehicles moving north on the road. 2 is in on the ridge line to the southeast.
Roger, 2, right over my head, clear hot.
All right, Massive, give me a smoke and give me a Willie Pete mark on where you want the next ones.
Okay, I'll try. I'll give you smoke. I don't know about Willie Pete.
All right, so Smoke and Willie Pete. Smoke is a smoke grenade. He's probably thinking throw a smoke grenade out there or shoot the 40 millimeter smoke grenade from the 203. Or Willie Pete, which is white phosphorus. He's on the move. Unless they have mortar support or they've already got artillery or something spun up, he's probably not going to get white phosphorus. They have this one smoke grenade. I can't remember what it's called. It's like a soup. It's like, I can't remember what it's called. It's like hexagon. Anyways, it's like a super thick white smoke, and I think the chemicals aren't really good for you to breathe in, but that's the only thing close to like Willie Pete that you'd be carrying around on you. The other smokes are also really sufficient as long as you have a dark, like a red. The pilots we talked to in Afghanistan and stuff like that really did not like yellow smoke because it was hard to identify from the air, especially when you're talking about a more arid environment. It's kind of desert. That yellow smoke kind of blends in, so they always requested purple or red. But let's keep on keeping on.
I got 100 rounds. He's got 270. All right, we're running short on 30 millimeter.
That's that. All right, so there we go. That's the full video. I just wanted, like I said, I wanted to go and review that. I thought there was some really good there's really good points in there. And the biggest like takeaway for maybe young fire sporters or JTAC, stuff like that, is the communication. Hey, this is what I need. This is where I need it at. Aircraft confirms. They're doing a good job of marking. The JTAC is being proactive. The aircraft only had to ask for a mark once, and that was after multiple attacks, and they're moving. So then the JTAC's like, okay, I probably do need a mark again, because there's a lot going on. But overall, I really like that clip. And again, like I said before, when I was still when I was at 2nd Marine Division's ATS, the Artillery Training School, that we would use that video to teach other JTACs or prospective JTACs and prospective JFOs that are going to the schoolhouse. We would let them hear that and kind of see, like, this is the reality of it. It can be a super stressful situation. There's a lot going on. You're getting shot at. Obviously, in that video, you could hear the gunfire. You're getting shot at. You're talking to an aircraft that's flying over a couple thousand feet over. You're in charge of dropping ordnance, into an area safely without hitting your own guys or hitting civilians or something like that. Super, super stressful situation. So really just hats off to the guys that did that. Who left a comment? Ramadi, taxi driver, 60M. Hopefully Link 16 can make CAS easier in the future. I think right now, so things have changed some since I've gotten out of the Marines, but they are doing more digital, just like everything else. They're moving to more of a digital footprint. They're still maintaining the basics of control and learning how to do controls and stuff like that, which is radio, but they're also trying to implement more software where we can send the 9 lines digitally and stuff, which would help, I guess, if you're working multiple aircraft. Let's say this is an operation and I can just send everything to multiple aircraft at one time. That makes it easier. I'd have to actually get hands-on with what they're doing now. When we were doing it before, it was kind of hit and miss. It would depend on how much the squadron really cared about digital CAS and how much we really cared about it, because it's not something we practice all the time. It's not something we were doing in Afghanistan. So it's not really something that we worried about. Now that war is over and things are more digital focused, and they have all these other things going on. They got drones and everything else. They are having a larger digital footprint from what I understand. But, I still have faith that they can bust out the old compass and binos and do it the old school way. But hope you guys enjoyed that. And I didn't have a podcast drop today, but it is going to come out. I recorded one today, but I'm going to probably edit it tomorrow and then release it on Thursday. So be on the lookout for that. As always, make sure to check out my website, jkramergraphics.com. If you're looking for a unit order, group order, something like that, do that for me. My Instagram is @FormerActionGuys and @FormerActionNews. And I really appreciate you guys checking this out with me. Have a good night.